before we get started, making sure that you may have some props for yourself. Perhaps a couple of blocks. If you don't have access to blocks, you can always use some stacked up books, a blanket, and a bolster, or even just a pillow from your bed. Using the props throughout the class. In Yin Yoga, we are actively seeking to relax the muscles in order to access the connective tissues, the joints, the ligaments, and the tendons, fascia in the body. We'll go ahead and get started. Coming first to reclining butterfly pose, placing the bolster lengthwise, aligning with the sacrum, bringing the soles of the feet together to touch, heels away from the body. You may wish to place a couple blocks underneath the knees, using the various heights of the block, high, medium, low. And then begin to recline one elbow at a time, allowing the whole spine to be supported by the bolster, each of the vertebrae onto the bolster and arms out to the side, creating that space, that openness, that receptivity, and allowing yourself to start to integrate into the practice, using this posture, reclining butterfly, to both ground and open in equal measure. Taking a few moments here, noticing what it is that you can soften. And what is it that you can sense? In Yin Yoga, the sensations in the body become the meditation. Deeply, fully engaging yourself into that meditation space. Perhaps feeling the dull pressure of the ankles against the mat. The stretch of the skin inside the calf, inside of the inner thigh. The subtle lengthening of the skin across the hip bone. The space in between each of the ribs. And the opening across the center of the chest sternum. The way the elbows push in towards the mat. And the dull pressure of the hands against the mat. The opening across the throat. And the pressure on the back side of the head. Integrating all these sensations, all the awareness of these sensations, awareness of your awareness, awareness of the sensations into your practice here. Focusing on that internal landscape. And as we move throughout the class, there'll be increasing periods of silence. Knowing that the silence is deeply healing for yourself. Cultivating that yin mentality of finding the space of silence, reprieve, and acceptance. Yin Yoga principles or tattva First, coming to that edge, natural resistance point in the body. That edge of discomfort, therapeutic discomfort, but never pain. The place where the body resists is the place that you must surrender. And find the patience and the tenacity to stay in that position, stay in that shape, and to wait. Wait for the opening, wait for the release, wait for the reprieve. Coming out of the posture, hands onto the outside of the thighs, removing the blocks from underneath you, legs extend out in front of you. Roll to one side or the other, remove the bolster, and lie back down, Savasana. Spine flat onto the mat. Perhaps we're feeling a little bit different sensation in the spine. Using the Savasana to recalibrate the chi flow in the body. It's the chi, the prana, the energy. That life force contained inside of you. Keep both hips square onto the mat. Walk your feet over to the right corner. And upper body towards the right corner. Arms over the head, perhaps clasping for the wrist, the forearms or the elbows. Chin slightly tilted down. Making a crescent moon shape with the body. You may wish to cross the left ankle over the right. And simply holding here in this posture, creating length and stretch down the side body. Yin Yoga principle Tafa, holding for time. And what is time? When you are timeless. And when time is only present moment, repeating itself endlessly and over and over and over again. Connect again with the sensations in the posture. The way the ankles are stacked on top of one another. The stretch of the skin along the left side of the body. Perhaps the stretch of the skin across the hip bone, the space in between each of the ribs, the dull pressure of the shoulders against the mat, and the arms over the head. Subtle compression into the right side of the body. And here in this posture, with the arms overhead, deeply stimulating the lung meridian lines in the body. Yin Yoga works on principles of Chinese meridian theory, knowing that the organs themselves energetically run through rivers in the body, and stimulating or applying self-acupressure to ancillary parts of the body creates overall wellness in the organs themselves. Soften into the silence. Attune yourself to the silence. Cradle yourself in the silence. Uncross the ankles, feet return back to center, upper body back to center. Transition to the other side, feet towards the left side, upper body towards the left side. Perhaps crossing the right ankle over the left. Observe and notice the difference in sensation in the body. This time the opening and the lengthening down the right side of the body, and compression on the left side of the body. The equal and the opposites. The balance and the polarity between two forces. And Tattva Yin Yoga principle of depth comes through holding in stillness for time. And the time creates the depth, it creates the wisdom, creates the opening, the deep wisdom body that we acquaint ourselves here with in the silence, in the space in between the space. We are not seeking flexibility, but we are seeking space in the body. Space to allow all things to move through us, to not bypass, but to move through us. Holding space for ourselves, space for each and every emotion, no matter what frequency of that emotion, no matter what polarity of the emotion. We've been blessed with this opportunity of crisis. Crisis, the Greek word for to sift out what is the most essential to us. What do we hold the most dear and the most precious? And to attune ourselves with our true inner value, with our inner sanctuary, with our inner resolve. Arms return back to center, feet back to center, arms down by your side. Perhaps a release of sensation, tingling, pulsing sensation in the fingertips. Stay with that sensation. Notice that sensation. Observe that sensation and follow it as it dissipates throughout the body. A beautiful reminder of impermanence. Knowing that every sensation, every moment, every emotion dissolving as it arises. With the invitation to be fully present in each and every one of those moments. Guide your knees in towards your chest. Feel the compression onto the spine, how each of the vertebrae push in towards the mat. Extend your legs up towards the ceiling, clasp behind your thighs, and gently come up to a seated position. Extend both legs out in front of you, hip width distance apart. A few different options here. You may wish to take a blanket rolled up underneath the knees. I even like to use my own fingers for this caterpillar pose. Gentle support for the knees. You may wish to sit on a block or a bolster. This will tilt the pelvis, allowing you to access the backside of the body. And then maybe using a combination of props in front of you, even your own hands as the support. You want to lengthen up through the spine, create space between each of the vertebrae, and hinge into the forward fold to access the posterior chain. This is not just a compression onto the lower disc, it's a lift, a length, and elongation of the fascia in the body. Once you find your position in the posture, begin to soften, mindfully soften and relax relax the muscles in order to access the connective tissues. Relaxing the toes, the ankles, calves, the thighs, the hips, back side of the body, the shoulders, even the face. Relaxing in between the brows and the cheeks. Allowing whole body to soften here. When we think in terms of yin yoga, we are thinking in terms of fascia. You can think of fascia as a saran wrap that runs in between the muscle fibers, even deep into the bones, holding up our whole extracellular matrix, our whole body. And it is mind over the matter. When your mind creates a thought, produces an emotion, and that emotion produces a hormone. The endocrine system, the hormones run through the fascia in the body. So literally with your thoughts, you are either creating expansion or constriction. Mind over the matter, you are the matter. And especially at a time like this, we're being called to deeply be aware of our thoughts, to be present, to release our fear of the unknown, and knowing that in this moment, we are safe, supported, and secure. Safe, supported, and secure. There is no separateness. That every atom in your body is connected to the atoms outside of your body. It's just energy more expanded. That you are this universe itself. It is creating itself through you and into you. The original force, the original life force of the universe itself. For those of you practicing at home, as yoga teachers, we're not used to practicing without bodies, but I can see each of your bodies in my mind. Even this way, the subtle shifts of your body for those of you who have come to my classes often. And also, I'm not used to sitting in the posture while teaching. But this is an opportunity for us to expand ourselves, to move into new places of unknown and discomfort and experience that consciousness expansion. And I thank you for coming along this journey with me. Feel the weight of your head and gently uncoil the spine one vertebrae at a time, coming back up to center. Move the props out to the side. Bolster out from underneath you. Extend your legs forward. Lie back down onto your back, Savasana. Arms down by your side. Slight vulnerable sensation onto the spine. Staying here, allowing your body to restore, recalibrate, and rebound. Experiencing the relief that sometimes comes from coming out of the yin postures. Guide your knees in towards your chest. Feel the compression onto the spine. Each of the vertebrae pushing in towards the mat. Extend your legs up towards the ceiling, cross behind your thighs. Come up to seated position. Cross your ankles underneath you. Come to all fours, hands and knees. Bring your right knee forward, heel out to the side. Extend your left leg behind you. First, I'll demonstrate the swan version, and then I'll demonstrate the reclining version as well. A few options here. You can take a block. This is a hard stop and place it on the outside of the left hip. Or you may take a bolster or a blanket and outside of the left hip. You want to roll a bit more open towards the side. That's fine as well too. Placing the props in front of you, perhaps using a combination of props, a block, a couple blocks, and a bolster on top. Using the various heights, you can use high, medium, or low, placing the bolster on top. Lengthen up through the spine, come up onto the fingertips. And then begin to come into the forward fold, folding on the inside of the knee. No pressure onto the knee itself. And if you would like to take the reclining version, lying down onto your back, bending the right leg, pushing the left ankle in front of the right knee. A few options here. I always like to maybe place a block underneath and reach the hands through, clasping the back side of the right hamstring and elbow out towards the side. For a little bit more sensation, you can always extend the leg down, still maintaining that 90-degree angle as well. A few different options or variations for you here. Wanting to go about a quarter of your maximum depth and applying the Yin Yoga tattvas, coming to the edge, holding for time, and the time creating the depth. And here in the posture, noticing again the sensations in the body, the stretch along the outside of the left hip, subtle stress and stretch onto the top side of the right thigh, perhaps even pressure on to the abdomen, the stomach, and you may even experience a flush of heat as some of the qi discharges from the liver in this posture. Finding the simplicity of the shape here. And we've all experienced a disruption in our external sanctuaries, or a disruption in our external communities. And we're being asked to alchemize that disruption into resolve in our inner sanctuary. Place deep inside of us, a place you can always come back to, a place that is untouched, unbowed, and unbroken. And alchemizing those external communities into internal communities. How can you hold space energetically for those around you? Knowing again there is no separateness, that your body is just atoms at its most condensed form. And then it begins to expand outward, and more space ether in between the atoms. Being called deeply to work on our vibrational frequency now, to hold space for ourselves, hold space for all spectrum of emotions and feelings of ourselves and others, and to fortify that inner sanctuary inside of us. And yoga is not necessarily a quote-unquote comfortable or easy practice. It takes us onto the edge of this discomfort and invites us to sit with that discomfort, so that outside of this environment, we can sit on the edge of this discomfort and find stillness, strength, that gentle strength, and surrender. Hmm. Coming out of the posture, come to all fours. Bring your left leg behind you. You can extend the leg back a little bit, releasing that stretch. And stress, yes, stress onto the connective tissues. And left knee down. Moving now onto the opposite side. You may even just quarter turn your blocks, preparing for the other side. I'll guide you through. Bringing the right knee forward, heel out to the side. Extend the left leg behind you. Once again, option to place perhaps a block on the outside of the right hip, maybe even a blanket, and stacking up a structure in front of you. Coming onto the fingertips, creating a little bit more space, and then moving forward into the forward fold. And for the reclining swan version, this time bending that left knee, bring the right ankle over top. Clasp behind the thighs, elbow out towards the side. A little bit more sensation, releasing that left leg down. Grabbing on top of the foot and keeping the elbow out to the side. You may even place the foot onto a block or a bolster. Still maintaining that shape. Working with the body that you have today, not attaching to what it felt like maybe last week. Working for the opening in the body. This is an external rotation of the hip opening. And coming back up to center. Slide the left leg forward. Both legs out in front of you, releasing that sensation. And lying back down into Savasana. Feet towards the front, head towards the back, or whatever orientation you are currently. Arms down by your side. Now you feel the release of sensation into the left foot, the left ankle. Notice that sensation. Feel, experience, deeply absorb yourself in that sensation and follow it as it dissipates throughout the body. That tingling, pulsing sensation will dissipate. See if you can find stillness, resisting the urge to move or fidget, and simply allow it to release and dissipate and disappear. Guide your knees in towards your chest. And that compression again onto the spine. Subtle counter stretch here. Extend your legs up towards the ceiling. Clasp behind your thighs and rock up to a seated position. You may wish to turn onto your mat. I'm going to demonstrate from the side. Stand both legs up in front of you. Begin to part the legs, coming to that edge, that resistance point in the body. You can open up your legs and remove some of the fleshy part from underneath you. Once again, if you come into the posture and you only feel sensation in the neck and the shoulder, then it's a good idea to sit onto a block or a bolster. Slightly tilt the tailbone. And using combination of props here, you can even slant the bolster up and support, or creating a little bit of a structure, maybe a little bit of Jenga with your props at home. Lengthen up through the spine and come forward into the forward fold. Deeply stimulating the inside of the inner thigh while accessing the back side of the spine, stimulating each of the spinal branches. Noticing what you can soften and what you can relax in this posture. And as we've moved deeper into this practice, I'll allow you more time in silence. Notice, observe the depth you've created simply by holding in stillness, in silence, in surrender. Feeling the folds of the skin along the front side of the body, the softness of the face, the softness of the skin of the face. And gently begin to uncoil the spine one vertebrae at a time, moving your props from in front of you. Hands onto the outside of your knees and bringing both legs out in front of you. Lie back down into Savasana. Spine flat onto the mat. Arms down by your side. Allowing yourself to be fully supported by the floor. Bend your knees, feet flat onto the mat. Arms out to the side, bringing your knees to the right and chin towards the left. Spinal twist here. Option to place a bolster underneath the right knee, perhaps a bolster in between, or even a bolster on top. Want to work to keep the shoulders down onto the mat while the knees can lift a little bit higher. And chin towards the left shoulder. Feeling the twist originating from the base of the spine, the coccyx, the lower three vertebrae, and winding up the energy conduit of the spine all the way to the back of the head. Gentle spinal twist, releasing forward folds, back bends throughout the series. And stimulating the large intestine meridian line, which is the yang organ to the yin organ of the lungs. Knowing if you help to stimulate digestion chi, you also stimulate lung prana yama chi. And vice versa. Bring your awareness to the diamond shape in the center of your chest. But what diamond shape? There may not be one. But that's the meridian line, the shape of the meridian line of the lungs. And just increased awareness, increased mental acuity to those areas of the body, helping to increase healing. Moving through center, transitioning to the other side, knees to the left, chin towards the right. You may wish to place a bolster in between the knees, a bolster under the knees, and chin towards the opposite shoulder. Few more moments here in this posture. Can you feel how your body has been able to still itself? S-T-I-L-L. Now that stillness cloaks you, shields you, protects you. How that stillness is tucked inside of your inner sanctuary, place that is unbowed, untouched, and unbroken. Returning back to center, both legs out in front of you. And finding your way into spinal savasana, you may extend your legs farther apart for pentacle pose, or even placing a bolster underneath the knees. Perhaps a bolster on top of the chest for more grounding sensation, and surrender here. And I'll guide you out when you are complete. Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om. Feel the timelessness of your body, that energy, sensation, vibrations, ether, the space between the space surrounding your body. Energy, sensation, vibrations, ether, the space between the space contained within your body. Integrated and connected to the whole. Now you are complete. Namaste. Thank you, yogis.